Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Paula, and on this platform we discuss about designer fashion, luxury and lifestyle, but in a more practical and sensible way. How to actually afford luxury designer handbags on an, let's say, more of an average income. In this video, I want to talk with you about different ways to approach buying a designer handbag, because it absolutely doesn't necessarily need to be brand new Chanel classic flap from the boutique, but there are actually ways to be able to afford them as in just like a normal random person, without having the kind of massive savings or super big fortune. But there are also other ways to be able to get into this world if that is what's interesting to you. And I thought, like, I have some ideas and something that I have done, but also something that I've realized that makes designer handbags feel more attainable to also us, like, regular income people. In this video, I'm not gonna discuss about specific price points or how to fund them. So if you need to have the savings or cash or credit, like, that's on you. But this is more about different ways to actually get access to designer handbags without being filthy rich. Hopefully you took that with a bit of a twinkle in the eye. But hey, before we move forward, and if you are interested in talking about designer handbags, then you most likely are gonna love it here as well. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It would mean so much to me. But definitely, please do come back here. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday, and I think you would also like it here. So I have 3 tips how to make designer handbags be more attainable compared to the super expensive bags on the shelf of the boutiques. And I think the first thing that comes to everyone's mind is look at pre-owned markets. And with this, I mean that do some research. Try to find out, if you don't know already, which brands do not in general hold their value. So what is it more worth to actually buy new from the store or then buy secondhand? Because there are certain brands that, like, definitely lose their value while being sold as pre-owned. Kind of sad, kind of not, depends on how you feel about it. But if you like, that's the easiest way probably to get a big chunk of money taken off from the price of the bag. But there you need to do a research here in general, because there are certain bags that still, like, they might be actually sold on a more expensive price than it is new from the boutique. So there's, like, research needs to be made here. But I would say, like, in majority of cases, buying pre-owned is good way. There are exceptions in this, but I'm just saying make your own research of it. So the bag that you have on your mind, go to secondhand designer handbag websites and look at the bags that have been sold. So don't necessarily look at the new listings, but actually look at the ones that have been sold, so that you get the idea of what price point is reasonable on the pre-owned market. And that way you can see what actually makes more sense to do. And if you are not fixated on the newest trend bag, I would suggest looking at discontinued handbags, because in majority of cases those lose value quickly. So Here's an example. So this is my Louis Vuitton Lock Me the Second BB, which is my newest Louis bag. And this was just discontinued a couple of years back. Louis Vuitton still has this handbag series, so the Lock Me series. But this particular bag is no longer being made or sold. And I actually did get a really good deal because this was a discontinued one. So I had my eye on my Lock Me chain bag that is currently sold at Louis Vuitton, and that had its own price. And I then went on the second-hand market to look what the price point on that bag was. There wasn't that many pieces sold of that bag, but then I came across this one, which I actually do prefer. And I feel like I saved a lot of money by going with discontinued instead of the one that is currently being made. But of course, like, then there is good to realize with discontinued bags that if you are now getting a deal and then you want to sell it 5 years later, most likely you will not get what you paid like of it. But that's just something that you need to be aware of, or I need to be aware of, basically. But it goes with everything we buy. We need to understand what could happen to the value, and we need to be okay with ourselves to put on that money there, because handbags in most cases are not investments in a way that they would like create interest or something like that. So in rare occasions the value might go up, but in general it doesn't. And when we talk about discontinued bags, it is super rare that already discontinued bag models that were not popular would kind of come up from somewhere. So something to think about. But if you are not like super calculative of the resale value, so then like discontinued, look at them and try to see if there is something that you like, because it is possible that you will get a super well functioning timeless bag as this is, and it's still like, I don't think anyone knows when this was discontinued or when this was made, because it doesn't have written a certain time period. So that's one way to actually get a designer handbag, and kind of so that it is more affordable than what currently is sold, but it's still equally good. Kind of same as discontinued is vintage. So this is my Louis Vuitton Pochette Bordeaux PM. This is from the beginning of 90s, so it is around 30 years old. And this is also super classic and timeless with its shape as a flap bag. This goes as a crossbody and all of that. But I only paid something 200 euros, less than 300 for this bag. And there is nothing wrong with it. So if we talk about affordable luxury designer handbags, vintage, I think there are a big selection, but with vintage it's also that they might look outdated. So better to kind of look through a lot of vintage sites if that's kind of where you want to go. And going even more affordable, vintage. So this is a Balenciaga, kind of a hobo style bag. And I think this is also like from the 80s, 90s, something. It's super old. And I paid 90 euros for it. It fits my laptop. It's not branded, so it's very neutral for work purposes, for instance. So with vintage, it is possible to make amazing finds and still have a designer handbag, but you just really need to kind of know what you're looking for. And then if you really like the vintage look, like that actually something looks that it's like from the past decades, then go for it. But then like more from a timeless perspective, maybe look for a bag that doesn't look super outdated, or something that clearly shows the era that it was made. So then you most likely get more use out of the bag. Secondly, let's look at discount codes and sales, maybe even outlets. So not everyone likes to buy pre-owned, which is totally okay. I personally love buying pre-owned and secondhand because then it's possible to find some more unique stuff, something that everyone doesn't have, and then maybe it doesn't cost as much. But it's also super nice to get something brand new. So there are certain designer brands that actually do not go on sale, or at least their handbags don't. So that might be that if you have your eyes on a Louis Vuitton or a Chanel bag, most likely pre-owned is the route to go to save money on those. But if those are not the brands that you have your eyes on, then there are tons of discounts happening all the time. So obviously now Black Friday is coming, so if there is a certain handbag from a brand that goes on sale or is part of the discount codes, that would be the time to snatch it. But then there are also these designer outlets all around the world that do carry some of these luxury designer brands as well. They have handbags there. They could be only outlet produced stuff, or then old season. So kind of know what you're buying there. So if you're okay with only outlet produced, go for it. But just so that you're aware that not everything is like old season stuff from the boutiques. But anyway, so there is many brands that it's possible to get a discount on or purchase from a sale. So just when you are kind of going into the rabbit hole of designer handbags, then just do your research and be aware of what goes on sale and what doesn't, so that you are able to get the best deal for your bag. My third one, it might actually be quite controversial and not something that people recommend on YouTube in other like luxury channels, and it goes for the payment type. So if we think about like regular incomed people who don't necessarily have the savings or, let's say, patience to wait to be able to save something, there might be a price increase happening and you don't want to pay like a premium for it after a couple of months, but you still don't have all the savings. It's like there are so many different scenarios, and like we all have our own finances, and I think we all can make our own decisions for that. But this is just something that I have heard has made buying luxury more attainable for more people. And that is using services such as Klarna or some other similar ones that allows you to kind of pay it in parts. And this is something you should be aware of, that there is going to be an interest. So if you pay it in parts, it will end up being more expensive than it originally was. But that's just something that if you are in a position that it's difficult to create that type of savings for something, I think that makes it very much like more easy to be attainable for more people. And I know that there are some who feel like luxury shouldn't be attainable and it should only be for those who can afford it. Personally, I don't think that way. Luxury should be for everyone who somehow can manage to pay for it. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy it on a credit card or using these type of services, but what I am saying is that this, I have heard that has made it more easy for many people to be able to get their hands into their dream bag. And for those people, like, they don't really mind if they end up paying a bit more than the original price when they actually have the bag that they've been dreaming of, and they can wear it and they can just like pay it off in small pieces. So I'm not saying if it's right or wrong, but this is an option that truly makes buying this stuff more attainable. There are, I would say, challenges in this, and the biggest thing if jumping to these type of services is that you need to be aware of your own finances and actually understand what the end payment, like what it will cost in the end, and then make sure that you can actually manage to pay those part payments, because like otherwise it's probably not worth it. But if you are on top of your own finances and you realize how the process is gonna go all the way and how much extra you're gonna pay, then that is a one, I would think, like really nice way to actually afford this this stuff, even though you wouldn't have all the money saved in advance. And obviously you need to be able to commit to the payment plan. So the big risk is to getting kind of pulled into these type of part payment schemes, and then just purchase everything with part payments, and suddenly you are ending up with huge lump sums that you need to pay. But if we are now thinking of like one handbag, then like be aware of how you're gonna pay it off. But I think that's a nice way to get access to this stuff. Whew, that was it. Hopefully you enjoyed. How do you have some tips on how to afford designer handbags? Something that you do or want to share? So this was not about how I afford them. This is just more or less something that I have learned. I do utilize some of these, let's say pre-loved and vintage for the most parts. If this video raised any thoughts, I would be so happy to hear them. So please write them down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video. Bye!